It's time for Words Alive Story Station. I'm Jim, and today I'll be reading I Love You With All My Heart. Hey there, everybody. My name's Jim. Welcome to Story Station by Words Alive. Today I'll be reading I Love You With All My Heart by Noris. But first, before we do that, we're going to get ready to read. And you might remember what we do in order to do that. A couple things. First, we're going to put on our looking eyes, right? So make these circles, put them up to your face, and know you're going to be watching something special. Next, take these C's, put them behind your ears, and note that we'll be listening today, right? And lastly, we're going to take the little bitty bit of our fingers, put it up to our voice box, and click it on, because we'll be wanting to hear back from you while I ask you some questions while we read. Sound good? All right. One other thing to do, though. We need to make sure we sing our song about the parts of the book. Maybe you know this song and you can sing along with me. Let's start. Well, the title's on the front. The title's on the front. Hi-ho, biblio, the title's on the front. And the author writes the words. The author writes the words. Hi-ho, biblio, the author writes the words. The illustrator draws. The illustrator draws. Hi-ho, biblio, the illustrator draws. And the spine. The spine binds the book. The spine binds the book. Hi-ho, biblio, the spine binds the book. And now it's time to read. And now it's time to read. Hi-ho, biblio, now it's time to read. Are we set? Good. As I said before, we're going to read I Love You With All My Heart. This book is by Noris. And you see there's only one name on this book. Got a little bit of glare there. Well, when we see one name, we know what? Right. The author is also the illustrator. So she did both jobs, Noris, right? She's really talented when you can do both. So we see on the front a couple animals. Can we tell what those are? Right. They're polar bears. An adult one and a baby one. So let's find out what they are all about in this story. I love you with all my heart. One brisk morning, Polo, here's Polo here, ambled down to the shore to fish. While he was in the water, his friend Walter came along. So what do we see? We see these two animals, right? So here's Walter. He's a caribou, right? Which is like what kind of animal do we see up north sometimes or read about at Christmas time? Like a reindeer, right? So that's a caribou. And then we have the subject of our story right here, right? And that is Polo. He is a polar bear. Polo, the water is cold. Be careful not to get sick, or you will worry your mother, who loves you with all her heart, Walter said. Well, Polo was curious. What did Walter mean? Well, how can my mother love me with all her heart? Polo wondered. Well, he decided to find out. He splashed out of his fishing hole and headed home. So when we look at where they're at, their environment, where do we think it is? Someplace warm or someplace cold? Right, someplace cold, like the Arctic, where the North Pole is. Well, On his way, Polo met his friend Pippin. Now we see Pin right here. And what animal do we think Pin is? Right, a penguin. You can tell. Pin, how does your mother love you? Asked Polo. Pin thought for a moment. My mother loves me with all her wings, he said. Then he picked up a snowball and cuddled it under his wings, like this. Thought Polo. My mother doesn't love me with wings. So Polo continued on his way. Well, soon he met Felix. Here's Felix here. Now, what animal do we think Felix is? Right, a seal. A seal up in the Arctic. And here's Pin, our friend our penguin. Felix, how does your mother love you? Asked Polo. Well, she loves me with all her flippers, Felix replied. And then Felix picked up Pin and gave him a big, slippery hug. They're having fun, those friends together, aren't they? Thought Polo. My mother doesn't love me with flippers. So Polo continued on his way. Soon Jessie bounded up. Jessie, Polo asks, how does your mother love you? Now we see Jessie, a new animal in our story, right here. And Jessie is what? Maybe a wolf, or perhaps an Arctic fox. Jessie was surprised. What a funny question. My mother loves me with all her teeth, replied Jessie. And then he gave Polo a playful nibble. A nibble's like a little bite. Polo giggled. My mother doesn't love me with teeth. So Pin, Felix, and Jessie all set out to find Polo's mother. So here's the friends. We see them all on their backs. So Pin is riding on the back of Felix, who's riding on the back of Jessie. And they're following Polo in search of Polo's mother. Well, when Polo saw his mother, he crawled on her back and snuggled against her warm fur. Your fur is soft, he said to his mother. Does that mean that you love me with all your fur? Yes, I love you with all my fur, she replied. But that's not all. I love you with my eyes that shine when I see you. I love you with my nose because you smell so sweet. I love you with my mouth when I kiss you. Isn't that fun? Everybody likes to cuddle and get kisses from their mama. I love you with my paws when I tickle you and lift you in the air above me. I love you with my back when you ride upon it. And I love you with my belly when you hug me tight. There he is, getting lifted in the air by his mama. Have you ever been lifted in the air by your mom or daddy? Feels good, doesn't it? Well, Polo gave his mother a hug, a big hug. It had been a long day, and he was ready to crawl in to bed. The long day. You see, do you remember earlier in the story when we saw the caribou, Walter, well, here he is with his pack going across the tundra, which is a big expanse of snowy plains in the Arctic. You know, I love you with all my heart, too, said Polo. And he curled up to his mother and he fell fast asleep. And that's the end of our story. Again, I love you with all my heart from Noris Kern, and it's brought to us by our good friends at Chronicle Books, right here in California. We want to thank them for allowing us to read the book. I want to thank all of you for joining us at Words Alive Story Station, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.